Hafa Adai and welcome to KWAM News. I'm Sonia Artero. Now, in an effort to promote the awareness of issues pertaining to victims of crime, Guam is observing National Crime Victims' Rights Week along with Child Abuse Prevention Month. For the next 3 days, News Extra will set aside time to highlight those that provide assistance to victims right here in Guam. We start off our 3-day series by highlighting the work of our local Child Protective Services. To bring you up to speed, CPS caseworkers investigate reports of child abuse or neglect. They also assess how individuals and families function in order to determine whether children need further protection. Tonight we'll learn about their caseload and the signs and symptoms of abuse or neglect with the help of CPS Administrator Lydia Diaz-Tenorio. Lydia, thank you very much for coming on and welcome back to the show.
Thank you.
It's our pleasure having you. Now, what are the types of child abuse and neglect that you deal with day in and day out here on Guam?
Okay, there are varying types of abuse and neglect. There's physical abuse, there's physical neglect, sexual abuse. Neglect cases involve educational neglect, medical neglect, failing to provide for the child. There's also emotional neglect and emotional abuse. Those are the varying
so that
types.
we can better understand or grasp the reality of maybe the harshness of the statistics, what are the recent statistics you can provide us?
Well, you know, in a small island like ours, we receive at the most over 2,000 referrals a year. And while the referrals for maybe last year may have decreased slightly, you know, that doesn't go for account for the unreported cases that are out there in the community.
Based on other jurisdictions, are our stats higher per capita?
I would say our stats are fairly high, you know, considering our population on the island and the numbers that come in. The cases, you know, and these types of abuse, there are numbers that come in or reports that are made. They not only involve one child, they may also involve multiple children that are in a family. So cases are pretty complex. They involve not only one type of abuse that may be reported. At the onset of conducting an interview and an assessment, there may be other discoveries of other types of factors that exist in the home. So they become pretty complex.
Okay. Now, what are some of the signs and symptoms, just so we get that out of the way, of child abuse or neglect?
Okay. There are the obvious ones, of course, which are physical, maybe injuries that occur as a result of some physical abuse. The difficult ones, of course, stem from maybe those emotional abuse and along with maybe sexual abuse, because you usually base that on the child's behavior, a child's reaction. What is the norm that exists in a child versus those that are not normal of a child? And so as persons who see these children and deal with these children daily, you know, if you suspect or if you see a rapid change or a significant change in a child's behavior, maybe from an outgoing child to a withdrawn child, those may be some indications that something has happened to this child.
Now, one of the biggest problems that is considered taboo in most areas, and considered taboo here, in fact, it's so taboo that families here don't even discuss it, is the problem with incest. And unfortunately, it's something that most people would prefer to sweep under the carpet, if you will, but it's something that we really need to start talking about and addressing. What are you doing at this level to address that issue?
Well, the best that we could do is to go out and conduct outreach and presentations and in the community. Most of anything, it's the schools have become an area where we would provide an understanding of what is right and what is wrong in terms of behaviors or for example, yeah, good touch, bad touch, personal safety skills. We conduct that jointly with our Healing Hearts counterparts. At the same time, the Guam Police Department of the Juvenile Section also conduct their own presentations. And those become pretty effective because at some point in time, if we go out to a school, you can, after a presentation, get some children to come up to you and actually reveal and make disclosures that something has in fact happened to them.
So ideally, by doing the presentation in front of their peers, you get the word out, and then later they can come up to you and in confidence tell you what is happening, and that is in fact what you're experiencing.
Yeah, usually that has occurred in these instances.
And more often than not, are there more cases of incest versus child abuse or neglect?
For the most part, when you look at the cases that come through Child Protective Services, it usually involves the caregiver of the children that become the offenders in all those types of abuse or neglect cases.
Now, what is the easiest way to report it if you know of a child that has been abused or neglected in any way?
Okay, well, we do have contact phone numbers. We do operate as an agency 8 to 5, but we also are available after hours, weekends, and holidays. And so we normally would just have individuals contact the Guam Police Department, who in turn will call us. The Guam Police Department are also considered child protective agencies. So in the event of an emergency or a need to file a report, call the Guam Police Department and or our agency, and we may